Namaste. Hello, everyone. Um, Good to just be here live. I hope things are going okay. I know from this week there's been a lot that's gone on. Big shifts there in the U.S. just with um, switch in presidency. And the interesting thing, I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's happening on the same day that it's Martin Luther King Jr.'s day to honor him. And this is so funny. I didn't like it didn't dawn on me until I think on Tuesday or maybe it was Wednesday morning. I was like, wait a second. That Monday was also the 5 year anniversary for me of going full time into Samya Yoga healing. So I'm like, wow. For me, that again, all these things happening, and it really made me think about choices and what we have control over. So finding choices helps us to find control. I would say, and then control a little bit more realistic control, or even real, more genuine control. So let's talk about that a little bit. And why am I even talking about this in a yoga for the mind group? Well, simply because our minds and our bodies, the nervous system, at the very basic level, their job is to keep us safe and secure, right? And biologically, we are wired to scan for danger. Our eyes are always scanning for danger because our body wants to do its job and do its job well, right? The thing is at this point, most of us on a daily basis are doing okay, right? We're not faced with life and death situations. We're very fortunate in that. Um, there are plenty of people out there who are having those moments. For the majority of us, things are going fine. But that wiring in our system is still there. And so it's taking in information and it's interpreting things that might start to trigger or fire up our nervous system a little bit as life or death. In a sense, because it's kind of like, that part of the nervous system I think is actually bored, right? It's like, and it doesn't want to lose its job. It's like, I need to prove to my human that, like, this thing I'm taking care of, this body I'm taking care of, this person, that I'm still relevant, right? And so I think about when, in daily life, when someone's role is at stake, an identity, um, that identity can start to do really strange things, um, in the name of feeling like it's going to be lost in its own life and death, right? So I'll let that sit. You can watch the replay and, like, listen to what I just said too, because there's a lot in that. Um, so if if our nervous system's kind of bored, it's looking for these things constantly, and so it'll take in information and be like, oh my god, like, make a bigger deal out of something than maybe it actually needs to be. Not that it's not important to deal with or face, right? But that the reaction, we tend to then overreact to some things. Um, and especially a lot of things that we're reacting to are things we can't control. Like, we have absolutely no control over, right? I mean, it's just a simple example. This could be like, opening your curtains in the morning, and you had planned maybe a day outside with some friends, and it's pouring rain. Um, And you look at the news, the weather forecast, and it's supposed to be doing that all day. And being like, the mind can then be like, oh my God, like this, how horrible, my day is ruined. I was so looking forward to spending time with these friends, and like, now what are we gonna do? And kind of spiral into this story of interpreting rain as ruining a day, right? When in fact, is that 100% true, right? Is that the interpretation that's going to, serve us best? Or serve, if I own that, serve me best in that reaction, right? Um, Probably not, right? If I'm aware of this, like aware of these interpretations and reactions that our mind and body have, I can then start to work with it. Actually have a conversation with it. Actually be like, okay, mind. Yeah, it's a bummer. It's raining out. And we were totally looking forward to being outside. I mean, we even thought we had an imagination, like we were this picture of sunny weather, frolicking with our friends, laughing, having a great time. And at least the part where it's sunny is not happening today. So what are we going to do with that? Like, let's still see them. What's plan B? Let's try to figure that out and see what happens. And by starting to switch that, I can then be like, okay, yes, all right, you're right. Let's do that, and start to communicate with friends and make another plan of action. And most likely, we'll still have a great time, right? Because the important thing isn't the weather piece, right? And being outside. The important thing is connecting with friends, and friends that lift me up. Okay, so I say this because in something as silly and basic as the weather, we can apply the same kind of practice or method to any reaction going forward. Okay, to anything that feels like like the end of the world. um I'm actually gonna my blog, I think this coming week, next comes out on Wednesday, is going to be about this. This morning I it jumped into my head, the Billy Joel's song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." I'm like, I'm gonna listen to that today, so I put that on and I like just danced my heart out. um, and then I took a moment just to, I'm like, let me actually look at the lyrics. I looked them up, and I'm like, yeah, no wonder it is fitting. The fact is that both tragedy and amazing things to celebrate, life and death, they've been happening long before you and I are here. And they're going to continue to happen long after we're here. We can't control that. We're not going to change that. That's actually nature. It's called prakriti in Sanskrit. Prakriti is pretty much basically means the nature of things that change. And so if you pause and take a moment to start to think about, okay, let me see what changes and what doesn't. Like even just in your room, looking around, you're going to be hard pressed to find something that doesn't change. And so when we try to control things that change and wanting them to either stay the same or change in a different way that we want them to, inevitably it's going to cause us pain and suffering, right? It just will, because we're trying to attach and control something we don't have control over. If we can accept that this nature of things that change and recognize, be aware, like, yep, this is something that changes. Yep, this is something that changes. This is prakriti. This is prakriti. Accepting that piece of change, then we can look at, okay, in this field of change, what do I have control over? Okay, so pausing and coming back to ourselves. This is where choice, finding choice, conscious choices, um, discerning. There's another word, viveka, very important word in yoga. We can discern where we want to put our energies into. And there's two things. Our intentions. So what do we want to cultivate? What's our intention? What do we want to bring more? What are we trying to work towards or cultivate more in our lives, specifically around us? And then the energy we want to put out. What is our intention, and what's the energy we want to put out into the world? And then from that answer, so what are actions that I can take, that I have control over to work on cultivating that? This isn't something that's going to just change overnight, right? But this is an intention to keep coming back to. You're like, okay, this is my guide. Yes, this is horrible. Whatever it is, whatever that story is, what's ever happening, if we're interpreting as horrible, okay, and things change, right? What do I want to do about it? What's my intention? What do I want to bring more into this? So it's so it helps putting less horrible into the world. And let me start taking actions towards that. This is how to find choice. It's how to focus on what you can control. And it's empowering. Versus the other thing, when we get stuck in like, it's ruined, everything is ruined, like the doom and gloom, life is over, ending, the apocalypse is upon us at this moment. That really feels disempowering, doesn't it? I mean, it does for me. Like, I'm like, why bother then, right? The thing is, things will change again. This moment, feeling that way, it will change. And we can meet that moment to practice this. Like, this is yoga, okay? This is yoga. Yoga is not just poses. Yoga is an invitation to use our experience in life to refine our minds, to refine how we show up in the world, to move more and more to a place of love, of kindness, of the essence of who we are, actually. Okay? To connect with spirit that's within all of us. Okay? So I just want to throw that out. So really thinking about, what is my intention? And what are actions every day? It's okay. Revisit. What's my intention again? So what are the actions? What are the attitudes? How do I want to bring this into my life and practice it today? Okay? So whether it's for the new year over 2025, whether it is the influence you want to have on the world over the next 4 years, or whether it is, how do I want to be remembered in my life? Like, what impact do I want to have on this world? Okay? So it can be as big or as concise as like this moment, this situation. Okay? And it could be the same thing. And keep this simple. Think of a word. I mean, just simply think of a word that you want to cultivate more of and let that be your guide. Okay? It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Cool. All right. If you have any questions about this, like, please feel free to um, post a comment. Feel free to direct message me if you want. Um, let's have a conversation about this. The more we talk, it creates something called community or Sangha, and we all need more of community that helps to uplift and help support us in becoming our best selves. All right. Thanks. Namaste. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week.